what I'm going to do today is show how the units in Shogun 2 are differentiated sufficiently that I can use them all in different ways, so they have their own distinct roles on the field, and these roles are mutually complementary. They support one another. So units can be doing different things on the battlefield, and these different roles can interact on a lot of different levels. So I'm going to start with just Yari Ashigaru, Yari Samurai, Naginata Samurai, and Naginata Warrior Monks. So I'm going to have 2 of each. So now we have potential symmetry. So I can have a centre and a flank, and it can be reflected. So there's an axis of symmetry on the battle line. And I'm going to have the same thing on the other side. So we've got 8 units, they've got 8 units, we've got 4 different types of units, and we're going to use them in 4 different ways, ideally. That's how it should work. If these units all have different properties that is conducive to different behaviours and roles and tasks, then that should be reflected, ideally, in the way that I use them. If units have different properties, then optimal usage will be determined to be different for each unit. And in Shogun 2, I think that's definitely the case. So we've got Yari Ashigaru that have Yari Wall. They're good against cavalry. They Yari Wall in a defensible position, and then the rest of the army pivots around them. So they anchor the line, and then you play off of that with your samurai. That's how it's supposed to go. And we have Yari Samurai, which are good for movement, manoeuvring. They can't be caught by anything except cavalry, which they do well against in a melee. So having them go off on their own works well, and also they have a high charge bonus, so they can be committed to the fight on the charge and do well like that. So that's what they're for: flanking, manoeuvring, and then getting that decisive charge at the right moment. And then Naginata Samurai with their high armour, which means they're best for doing the dirty work. So they have decent melee stats and good armour, so they're meant to be used in the gritty, necessary fights. They're the fall guy, they take the damage, the aggro. And then you have Naginata Warrior Monks. They're not meant to take aggro, but when they're committed to the fight, they have really good melee stats and morale, so you can put them in a more tenuous situation. So if you need a really aggressive flank that's risky, high risk, high reward, these are good for that. And also they have a war cry as well. So I'm going to be using these units differently, all of them, while the AI is going to be using them indiscriminately, and the AI is going to be punished for it, and I'm going to be rewarded for it, and that's how it should go. We should win. Alright, hang on. And this is a mirror matchup, of course. So, and which map? Any old map. I'm not going to rely very much on terrain. I shouldn't. So I should try and be mostly terrain neutral. I should only use terrain insofar as it fits with the roles of units that rely on it, like Yari Ashigaru. But I don't want terrain to be the determiner. I want unit usage to be the determiner. Alright. Gonna be meeting in the middle. So right here we have some terrain. Yari Samurai splitting. Naginata Samurai ready to play off of the Yari walls. And then monks, which I can hide in the trees. So I'm gonna have the monks ready to hit the flanks, which are weak to the war cry. The flanks are especially weak to the war cry, so if you're going to be using a war cry, you do it on the flanks. You chain route and break from the flanks. You're incentivized to do that, and also that keeps them out of the way of aggro from archers if they emerge from trees at the last second. So remember, this is a balanced fight, and I'm trying to use the different properties of these units. That's what I'm relying on. The units themselves, their properties. So I can have Yari Samurai just run off. That's totally fine. If I can have a unit chase them, then I'm cancelling out a unit. And Yari Samurai have done what they're supposed to. And they can also run faster, so my Yari Samurai pay less for the cancellation, the cancelling out. Because they can be recommitted easier than the unit they cancel out. Alright, I'm gonna Yari wall. And this is what I want. This here. Alright, I'm taking the ground there. The high ground. And the Yari Samurai I'm running around with. Bringing the monks in. They're trying to flank now. Alright, so I'm gonna try and hit them in the flanks here. Gonna have the monks come in. They're chasing. Yeah. So I should cancel them out with the monks. That's what they're for.
General is in grave danger, my lord.
So I'm gonna be enveloping these between. They've got rapid advance active. Yep. So I've caught them. Naginata Samurai coming though. Alright, so I'm going to be hitting them with a rapid advance in the flank. And I've enveloped here. I'm holding the centre with the Yari Ashigaru. The Yari Samurai have broken them. I can keep going now with the Yari Samurai. And I can war cry. I can start war crying once I see... Yeah, there we go. No, I can't war cry yet, shit. So I would have war cried there, but the battle has just been so fast that I couldn't. Alright. Can maybe still do it though. Naginata Samurai holding their ground against warrior monks, that's what they're for. Alright, 10 seconds, but we're going to break them in time. Yari Ashigaru there. And yeah, they're steady. Broken. And come on, come on. Shit. Yeah, there we go. So I can war cry. Yeah, and I'm going to be breaking them. And they're going to break as well because the war cry. Yeah, they're broken. And that's it. So because I used all of these units...
My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours.
In different optimized ways. So I outmaneuvered with the Yari Samurai. I war cried. That was quite perfect for what I'm going for. I used the war cries to break units on the flanks. I could have used the war cry earlier and had even more success, but that was good enough. The Naginata Samurai were mostly used in a holding role, and they were on favourable terrain, which isn't important. I didn't rely on the terrain for that. I did rely on the terrain for the Yari Ashigaru though, because look at that, we survived the war cry. We didn't rout to the war cry. So and that means we were fighting monks, I think. There was a unit of monks in there, into the Yari wall. So I used the Yari Ashigaru to anchor the battle line and to protect the centre, so they couldn't push through. It was us that manoeuvred with the Yari Samurai and the monks. We outmanoeuvred, so we had rapid advanced Yari Samurai that can't be caught unless we allow it, and monks that have high morale, that means even if they get caught or flanked, they will not rout. So the most fragile units in terms of morale were in the centre and were being supported while we swung in from the flanks, and the strongest units in terms of morale were the Naginata warrior monks, who were just out doing their thing with their insanely high morale, and we didn't get punished. None of our units routed, so I was aware of the different morale levels of these units, and I was aware of the slight variation in mobility, and we got good matchups. All of the matchups that happened there were good enough, and as a result, I don't know why it said fucking decisive victory though. Fuck's sake. That was heroic. We lost almost nothing to pull that off. KD must have been like 5 or 7 or something. We lost 249 to 865. So KD 3.5. Monks did really well. So I think this was the Naginata Warrior Monk unit that caught the Yari Ashigaru. Oh, that one's even better. Holy shit, look at that, 17 losses. So the monks had really lopsided matchups, which is perfect, because that happens on the flanks where they're going to rout faster. So we were never going to rout on the flanks. Our flanks was made up of fucking monks. So there was no way we were going to chain rout from the flank. Yeah, so with just the spears, the most basic spear units, there's all of these different properties that dictate effective usage, that give these units roles that have to be discovered, and you have to be aware of them. And if you are, you can achieve really ambitious maneuvers and tactics and ultimately victories. And this is why Shogun 2 has always just been satisfying, because you can always keep pushing these systems and trying to discover new ways to use these units in conjunction. But when I'm playing a game like Three Kingdoms, the spear infantry, it's like, what the fuck is the point? What is the difference between medium spears and heavy spears? Medium spear guards, heavy spear guards? There's just no difference. There's no way to allow the difference to affect your decision making. There's really no way. They're both crap against cavalry. They both rely on the bracing bonus for the reflect. They both rely on Testudo to get that 100% immunity to arrows. These units have different immunities to arrows from the armor stat: 2, 5, 9, and then of course with monks you're back down at 2 again. And it's totally different from Yarashigaru because they're a high value unit that's really good in the melee. So even the susceptibility to arrows is completely different. But with medium spear guards, heavy spear guards, what is the difference between medium spear guards and heavy spear guards in 3K? This is the thing. This is the problem. This is why my eyes glaze over and I zone out and start falling asleep when I'm playing 3K. Because every battle is the same. Whereas you saw how much attention I paid to the map here. I just picked a random map and decided where I was going to go at the last second pretty much, and picked some ridge that I was going to hold with Yarashigaru while I put my Naginata monks in the trees to the sides. And that was good because they didn't really spread out and try and chase down my monks. I was able to get the monks involved in the middle and play off the situation that was happening in the middle. So that was good. And that was because I put them in the trees, I think, and also I got lucky with the eye. But I don't ever get that feeling really when I'm doing infantry maneuvers in 3K or even Troy. It's just every unit is really, the line is blurred between each units. They're all, it's just roster bloat. Like if you were to give me money in this game and tell me to come up with a plan, I would do it, like I just did. I would look at the map and think about what I wanted to do, and I would come up with something like this. But in Troy, I would just be looking through the roster thinking, I'm going to have units that run away whenever they get challenged, and I'm going to just try to catch units that are inattentive, flat-footed, and get free kills on them. And that's the whole fucking thing, pretty much. So it just demotivates me from even trying, even thinking about it further than that. I don't need to. Anyway, that's it. Thought that would be useful for a future video. I'm going to be using this.